This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A warm welcome to all our viewers to such a beautiful day here at andBeyond in Ngala. You can see the sun has already risen. We can actually see it through these dead trees. It's just such a beautiful morning, and I would love to encourage all our viewers, come and join us on this live safari here in the African bush. So we actually came to just stop here and listen out to hear if there's any signs or if we can hear those lions. Now, yesterday we tried the whole afternoon to look for the lions, and late last night they were found. And this morning we actually have tracks on the road heading up in the northerly direction. Now, I'm going to just explain here. So I'm Nikki, I'm going to be a ranger for this morning, and on camera with me we have Owen. Now, just to point out right over here, is you'll notice there's a very interesting track. So this is the tracks that we are following at the moment. So it is a lion track. Now, there are a few on this road here, and they're heading up in this direction. Now, if you look here, so this is what we're looking out for. So you see on the bottom part here of that big pad, you have 3 lobes, 1, 2, 3. And then here, you have those 4 toes. Now, there's quite a few. It might be that pride of close to 18 lions, because when we started driving on the road, we could see quite a few of these tracks on the road heading up in that direction. So who knows, maybe there's a good chance we could find the lions this morning. So let's enjoy the sunrise for maybe another minute or two, and then from there we'll carry on with our adventure and hopefully find these lions, or whatever we can find along the way is always a bonus. Looks like at the very top there might be a bird like a dove that's sitting at the very top there, but it's hard to see.
Good morning, everyone. I hope that you're all very well today. We begin our morning safari with a harassed African Harrier hawk with a red face, probably because of the stress of being bombed by those drongos. Now, he's also, or when we started, he had something in his foot or in his talons. I'm not sure what it was, perhaps a little bird. My name is James Henry. my winning morning Saturday smile. And on camera from the ganglands of Pretoria East, we have got Niels the Hood. Please remember to talk to us using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. You can go to our website if you'd like to and ask questions there. Or if you're a youngster, you can send questions using kids' questions at wildearth.tv. The drongos have taken great displeasure at this chap's presence, as well they should. So, as I said, what we did when we came along here was to flush he and a partner, it might be she and a partner, out of a tree where has been an African Harrier hawk nest before. But when this one took off, it was carrying something in its talons. And I don't know if you can see it there. See if I can pick anything up with the binoculars. You can just see that the left foot is slightly bloodied. It is covered in the viscera of whatever breakfast they were eating. It's already around about 27 degrees Celsius or so. The sun is doing its best to really kind of cook the earth today. And you can see that the light is harsh despite the earliness of the hour. Cool. It's a really amazing sighting. They never quite hit him, although I have seen the drongos hit eagles and things. They haven't hit this chap. They just kind of threaten to. Now there's a hornbill in the same tree, just checking out the scene. Karen, the hawk, the African Harrier hawk, it's not actually a hawk, I don't know why it's called an African Harrier hawk, but it isn't really a hawk, is being bombed or mobbed by these drongos because they want it to go away. It's a predator. And so they're bombing it to try and make it go away. They're not the only birds that'll do this, but they're the ones that do it most frequently.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve, to your very own live safari from the African wilderness. And my name's Andrew. On camera this morning, I have Gert. So we came to these beautiful positions on the western boundary, looking at southern giraffe, a bull single male giraffe, feeding right in front of us. You can see how well blended in it is. Just a little bit of his the glimpse right in the middle of the bush, but busy taking his breakfast. Remember to talk to us. Your questions, comment on kids questions at wildearth.com or hashtag WildEarth at FC. We would like to hear from you, and remember, we come from this location live right to you. Such a beautiful morning rise. You can see the walls are just a beautiful shining right there where these giraffe is. What a morning of a start with Giraffe able to browse. If we can just take that moment of a silence just to listen to the morning sound. Sorry, it's going to be a car riding past us. We in the middle of the road, western boundary. So we're going to leave this giraffe this morning, our aim to check for any possible lion tracks coming into this area.
Jumbo everyone, another wonderful, beautiful, sunny morning here in the Masai Mara, and I have one massive bull who looks like he's having a little nap that he well deserves after maybe a long night of walking and grazing. It's so beautiful, I cannot explain. Morning, I'm Isaac, and on camera is Bungay. This morning we're on a mission to find the male lions, maybe if we find them. If not, anything is welcome. Yes, look at this massive bull. Remember to talk to us on #WildEarth. Questions and comments are very welcome. You can also send in your kids' question at wildearth.tv and at FC. Also, you can send in some question on our website. And the weather this morning is around 16 degrees Celsius. Looks like it's going to be a sunny, hot day and so beautiful. Starting off is this massive bull who's got an itch on his backside, and he has found an appropriate spot to do the job. And the reason sometimes we get a very smooth and trees backs in some trees is the skin of these huge animals. They're so rough, sometimes you wonder who's scratching the other. Is it the elephant scratching the tree, or is it the tree scratching the elephant? Looking at his size, he's at his prime. I would say he's over 30, and he's got nothing to worry in this world at his size, apart from a man with a gun. But here he doesn't have to worry about anything about that. Look at what he's picking. He's picking a few shrubs and bushes here and there. Not grass, but a specific kind of, I think, creeper. That was a mixture of grass and creeper. Yeah, that is wiregrass. It's so tough. It's like wires. That is, I think, grass. Yeah, but definitely, it's a nice place for him to be. And that's why he's chosen to be here. He's wandering around, maybe trying to join some other males to form a bachelor herd. It is normal at his age to associate with other, huge bulls. He is at peace at a very beautiful spot. It is just so quiet and beautiful. There's only a few birds like the Cisticola calling, and there was a yellow-throated longclaw calling. Just listen to that. Park. Jumbo, that is an iconic tree of the African plain. Indeed, it is. With a giraffe is the kind of the picture everybody wants to see, a giraffe and there, or an elephant, and there you got it. There is two species of trees that look very much alike, but they're different. This one is the desert date. In Masai you call it ngoswa, or in Latin it's called Balanites aegyptica. There is also a species of another tree called the acacia. They vary, there are so many. There is Acacia totalis, or the flat top acacia, and also Acacia kiki, that's got a very flat top. They are very similar. You have to be close to really identify which one is which, but they differ. The acacia is preferred mostly by giraffes and elephants, and usually sometimes they just break them down, and they don't do well here in the plains of Masai Mara. They do well above the escarpment. Here we get the Balanites aegyptica, which is a shallow-rooted tree, and yeah, quite abundant here. Our elephant seems to be enjoying that area. I think there is very thick grass there, and he loves it because every time he gets hold of grass, you know, he gets a lot of grass, and so he likes it that way. He doesn't have to keep going up with, you know, very minimal. He gets quite a lot. I think he's also enjoying a lot of sun on his back, and that's why he's facing that way. Looks like he's got a swollen tumor. Could have been from a fight. It doesn't look infected or bad. It's quite okay. He's loving that long grass. You can see that. A region. Do elephants ever form a coalition? No. Coalitions are formed to, you know, reign or rule a territory, and that's in cats. Elephant form bonds. Oh, he's gonna break the tree. He tried to push it. Yeah, release some fluctuant there. It's not as bad as elephant, although it's bad. It's not as bad as lions because it's all vegetable matter. Only if you're too close. So, elephants form bachelor groups of males where they just roam freely for a period of time until they're ready to breed. Coalitions are formed by, you know, some cats families like cheetahs and lions. They are well known to form coalitions, and they provide like confidence to reign and rule a territory, and also to intimidate others. So elephants don't form coalitions. They form a temporary bond in groups called bachelor herds. And coalitions, we have so many of cheetahs and lions here in the Mara. That elephant looks like he's in the mood to bring down a tree. You notice he did push that one a little bit. I hope he doesn't, but also if he does, I cannot stop him. You know, elephants do convert land second to man. They do break a lot of trees, and sometimes when they are actually they've been pushed to a certain area, they can cause havoc because whatever is there, they will utilize it, and by utilizing it, it means that they'll break a lot of trees. And if they overstay in an area just because they've been pushed there, either by congestion or habitat loss, they will open up that area. Opening up also is necessary because you need other small prey for the predators and the smaller cats to eat, also for birds, lizards. So a tree like that coming down, yes, it's a big loss because it's been there 90 years. But when it lands, the grass grows about it. A new niche and, environment is created for other small critters. Leopards would hide in there. A lion would give birth underneath a tree, the grass growing over it. There'll be lizard, snakes. So they also create new niches for other living organisms. Well, it looks like my elephants want to have a bit of a nap, and that's why I think he tested that tree. Maybe he was going to lean on it. I'm going to leave him, and so let me take you to another live location.
Good morning, good morning. It is a beautiful morning here in Tswalu Kalahari. Stunning view of the moon we have at the moment. And yeah, guys, so our plans for this morning is actually to, while we're looking at the moon, go and have a look at our Meerkat family. By the way, guys, my name is Moritz. Behind the camera, we've got David. So yeah, our plan for this morning is going for the Rockstar Meerkats. And funny enough, I spoke to Veronica, our Meerkat habituator, last night, and she actually mentioned that they started using a new burrow system, completely new. We haven't seen them there before. Only herself has done so. So that's interesting to see that they have now started moving to a different environment, or, well, different burrow system within their territory. Possibly, it's a little bit of added land to their territory that they've recently come upon, that they've now started utilizing after the rains. That's a little bit more busy with insects and so on. So it would be interesting to see where it is. We are heading there right now. Well, not at this very moment. Now we're standing still. But as soon as we get moving again, we're going to move to that area to go and see what the situation is and how they are doing, and to see how much more insect activity there might be over there. It's always interesting to see when animals change their normal behavior, and to try and figure out for what reason they are doing so. So yeah, exciting morning lying ahead. I haven't seen the meerkats in a while, so it's going to be good to say hello to them again, see how everyone is doing in the family. But yeah, all in all, just a beautiful morning. It was a bit of a chill in the wind this morning, so they might take a tiny bit of time to come out of the burrow. But it's not like it's freezingly cold. It's actually just nice to have that cooler breeze on your face. So hopefully soon they'll be out and about, and we'll be able to see them maybe catching a scorpion or something like that. But yeah, like I said, always interesting to see when animals, especially when they establish something like a new den site or burrow system. That's a lot of thinking that goes into something like that. It's not a decision to be taken lightly. If you choose wrong, there might be a cobra that lives in the area, and in one night you lose 2 of the family members. Or there might be honey badgers that's operating somewhere around there. And that the same situation happens to what happened to the horses, where we lose almost the entire group. So a lot of thinking, a lot of careful decision making needs to go into something like a new burrow system. So I'm excited to see why they chose that particular burrow system. So yeah, all in all, a very good morning. Just always a good morning to be out here. Birds are singing. The sun is just about to creep over the mountain. We're not going to see it just yet. It's just starting to give that glow. There's a pair of namakwa doves actually sitting on a tree not too far away. They're quite cool. I like those namakwa doves. One of our smallest species of doves. Guys, David's going to frame them up just now. There we go. Oh, there we go. So very cool to see that, that little black face. and it seems like 2 males. You know, the females typically they don't have that black on the throat and the face, so always nice to see those little guys. You know, doves and pigeons and those types of things we often overlook, but they're actually quite cool. I always admire their flight pattern. Very, very nice. Such strong flyers. We were looking at the northern black coron last night and how he flies, and it actually looks like he's struggling quite a bit to get to where he's going, but you know, that's just the way he operates when he's moving around. And then if you look at the red-crested coron, he's actually a very strong flyer again. So yeah, very cool to see these little birds. You know, unfortunately for them, they are a little small, so there's a lot of things that do go for them. You get the gabar goshawks and the pale chanting goshawks and all of those things, the Lano falcons and so on, but luckily they're designed to be able to survive. Yeah, another interesting thing just about the Kalahari, I told you that after rain it reacts quite quickly, and there's actually lots of little green shoots starting to push out of the ground now, and I mean, it's 2 days after rain, and as you can see just over there how those little guys are starting to push out. So very, very cool to see that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's always excites me when the Kalahari is starting to go green. Coming from a farming background, anytime there's green in the bush, it's good for us. So yeah. These particular plants, however, I don't think the animals will feed on them. Well, I know the animals won't feed on them too much. They make a very beautiful flower. Beautiful, beautiful. So in about a month or so, we'll show that to you guys. Lovely, like a fire lily almost. But they're not the most palatable of plants for the animals around here. So yeah, guys, I think what we are going to do is we're going to start moving on and get to those meerkats before they wake up, because then we want to see them coming out of the burrows. So yeah, we're going to move on so long, and then as soon as we get there, we'll let you know what the update is.
Well, sorry everybody, I was in the midst of putting some sunscreen on. There's going to be a bit of scratching now. Okay, done now. Sorry about that. Right, we're okay. Here we are with a little group of giraffe, 1 cow and 2 young bulls. 2 cows, actually, and 2 young bulls. A little group of teenagers wandering through the wilderness. Let me just sneak slightly forward, we'll probably get a better view. They're not being very cooperative. It's a lovely picture of them, and then the sort of vista behind them. Oof, and the chin spot batis is out early this morning. Normally he starts up when it gets hot, and that's because, well, it has already got hot. Laughing dove. Another one coming around here, Niels, once that one disappears. So that's a slightly older bull, and he's a bit darker, and I wonder if he isn't seeking out a mating opportunity. And there comes another pale bull. Amazing the variation in coloration that giraffes have. And I don't know that this is true, but you know, as soon as there's that sort of variation in a species like a leopard, there's an enormous amount of excitement. So I was reading an article on a strawberry leopard yesterday, and a strawberry leopard, or erythistic or erythristic leopard, I really should know that name, is an animal that's got no actual black in any of its spots, so it's sort of dark brown, and if you look at it from a distance, it looks basically like a redhead. You get the same in some bird species, but some birds are just like that all the time. Like pigeons are a good example. You know, you get such a range of different colors, and I think giraffe are in the same sort of category. You get such a range of colors. Some have no black in them at all, some have almost completely black patches, but because it's so common to have such variation in the population, we don't tend to comment on it so much. That's all I have to say on that particular subject. Thank you so much. We'll now move on. We've checked a big waterhole up here in the northeast and haven't managed to find anything there. So now we're probably going to head on to the Djuma boundary between Djuma and Torchwood, see if we can find any leopard tracks there. And so on we go.
I hope James was able to find some leopards, but in the meantime we found some elephants, and just notice this one here, how she's carefully picking some of the branches, and it has quite a lot of thorns on it, and see how she's just wrapping her trunk around it and then slowly pulling it off. It's incredible how, even though an elephant's skin can be very sensitive to a lot of things, it's incredible how hard it is in order to break those thorns and break it in such a specific way that it doesn't hurt them. Jamie, I'm not too sure in the exact number of teeth, but I do know they have 6 set of teeth that grow out every 10 years. And so basically from the back of their mouth, they have these large plate-like teeth that gets pushed down. As they grind it, eventually the teeth is worn down to such extent that it will eventually drop out, or even disintegrate, and then from there it's being pushed from the back by other teeth. And normally after the 60 years, that's when their teeth don't grow back anymore, and then eventually they'll die from malnutrition. But I don't know exactly on the amount of teeth in their mouth, but I do know they have 6 set of teeth that grows out every 10 years. Yeah, this one is moving into a bit of shade. Now it is slowly starting to warm up, and you'll see the warmer it gets, the more likely that we're going to find that the herds are going to move into the shade, feeding like this one here, and also flapping those ears to help keep them cool. Notice what this one is doing. So remember, we were talking about the teeth and how the teeth wears down. Do you see how it's grabbing some of the grass, and there's some small trees, then it's just breaking it out and then hitting it against either its legs or against its chest to get rid of the sand, because remember, the more sand, the more the teeth is just going to wear down. So what I might do is, because of the angle at which they are moving, we might not have a good view from where we are now. I'm going to slowly push forward, so bear with me as I move 2 or 3 meters forward, and hopefully we'll get another glimpse of these elephants. Smoko, with elephants, they can sleep while standing up, but also when lying down. So it was the other day, probably a week ago, I saw for the very first time an elephant lying down and snoring. So I've seen them lying down before, but never heard them snoring. And when the elephant woke up, he didn't basically went from there, stood on his legs, and he carried on. But they can sleep while standing up, or even by lying down. But often when they lie down, they'll find an area with a bit of a slope, maybe if there's a termite mound or something, and then they'll go lie down against that. And then from there, they'll roll up. Look at the little one here at the back. He is so small. He, if you look at the ears even and like around the head, I don't know if this elephant's older than 5 months. And often if you like look at little elephants, if they start showing their tusks, you know that they're probably a year and older. But you can see this one, look. It looks like there might be some dirt on his head, or it might even be just his skin. Can't really see that well. But you can see, like in comparison to the mother, he's still not as skillful as her with that trunk. Still need to grow and still need to learn how to use it more effectively. Such a beautiful time of the year. Everything is greening up. There's a lot of green grass. There's a lot of birds calling. I can hear there's a greater spotted cuckoo that's calling in the background as well. And just a nice time of the year for all the birds to come back. And also with all the lush green grass at the moment, we're finding more and more elephants moving into the area as well. Quite nice to see. Well, maybe let's just give it another minute or two, see where they go. Maybe even this one at the back. Once they start moving into an area where we can't see them, we'll carry on with our lion search. Yeah, I think that might be it. As they carry on feeding, and what they might eventually do, because it is warming up quite a bit, they'll eventually go down to a waterhole, maybe to go cool themselves down, maybe go have a drink. They might have even come down from the waterhole. It's a nice and warm day already. I can feel it's just past 6 now, and I can already feel like I'll need to take my jacket off at any time. Oof, you know what? There might be one more glimpse of these elephants. Just want to quickly turn like this, but I'll have to work with Owen because of the angle at which we're working here. Owen, do you think we'll be able to use that? There we go. So have a look at this scene. You have a big female that's moving straight or in our direction. That might be the matriarch. You'll see all the others are younger females, maybe even a few calves, and 1 or 2 young bulls trailing at the end. Owen and I are going to just spend maybe another minute or two just enjoying this beautiful scene and enjoying also the warmth.
Great. So this morning we're just gonna sit here and just a moment of a silence, listen to the sound. So I'm gonna carry on, do a search this morning, see what else I'm going to find.
Here we have a herd of here we have a small herd of elephants, and we have a newborn. Look at this tiny guy. This guy is not more than 36 hours old, and he's still very wobbly, trying to actually balance. That's how small he is. Staying very close to mom. He has gotten an imprint of his mom's scent, and so he's able to follow mom very closely. Very, very tiny. Remember, at birth, they're so big, most of them weigh more than us. Everybody in the herd is keenly watching the little guy and also making sure he's safe. Right now, this is like walking on a landmine. If you dared step out, you have no chance, because this is a precious life, and elephants will protect him with their, all their might and power. Okay, somebody says we cannot continue to see the little guy until we talk about her. This is a beautiful young female. She's got a calf that's almost 2.5 years right behind her. So definitely she's not the mom to that young one. She's part of the big herd, or she's an auntie to the little guy. More elephants are very welcome here in the Mara, and to see that young one is such joy. It's still very beautiful in the morning, few clouds here and there, and that is the kind of sight that we have. They are enjoying the morning grazing. Grass is soft, full of water, easy to chew. It's just beautiful. Right now, the weather is perfect for elephants, so they will not wallow, they won't add extra layer of soil onto their skin. It's just perfect. Let's go back to the little guy again. Look at him. Yeah, he's the tiniest one I've seen in a while. Yeah, it's the smallest one I've seen in a while. Look at that, so small. It doesn't know what to do with life, but it's trying to fold the trunk. Look at that. It's trying to bite the trunk. It's putting it in the mouth. They do that when they're very young because they don't know what to do with it. They usually try to bite it. That is one of the few things they can do with the trunk. Yeah, it is so small, you could fit it in a, shopping cart. It's so small. The tail twitching, every now and then it will touch the little guy, and that's how the mother knows where he is. You can tell now he's reduced the movement of the tail. He has to move the tail every now and then to confirm where the little guy is. When he moves, she moves, she swings the tail, and when the guy touches it, she knows he's right back, behind her. Look at that. Yeah, stops. Jenny, Jumbo, yes, you said it. It's by looking at its head. The head, males are much more like rounded, females are angular. At the back, if you look at the back of females, sometimes they have an arc, like a saddle. Males tend to be straight. Like the little guy, you can tell, he's got a very straight back. So I'm assuming he's a male, although at his age I might be wrong. That's how you identify. One of their guys there has lost a tail. This is one way of identifying this herd. They also have a female who's got very crooked tusks. You see her, the one to the left there. That's how I know this herd. They've been in the Mara for quite some years. She's also very pregnant, that female, with a crooked tusks. So we're going to have another one maybe in a couple of days, or maybe today. It looks like she's ready. Did you see the pink ears, the back of the little one? Dorothea, thank you for your question. Good morning. I don't know what time it is there, but it's very early here. Would they walk far with a little one like this? Of course not. You can tell the kind of pace they have is very friendly to the little guy. They know it doesn't need to go very far, and actually they will find places with shorter grass, and they will make lots and lots of stops. They were in the middle of the road when I found them, and it was a nice place to be for the little guy. So they would walk very far. And here, there is nothing forcing them to walk very far, because everything is at reach. They don't have to go very far. You can tell they're staying very close to the little one. Every now and then you will notice one member of the herd will go and somehow will sniff the little guy. He's confirming, are you a boy or a girl? Can I smell you? Is this your smell? When the little guy flaps his ears, you will notice some very pink ears. I hope he can come out of that bush to the right, and you can see the pink ears when it flaps. That's another easy way of saying how, young they are. When they're really young, they're almost pink, the inside of the ears. That herd is walking very casually, which is perfect and friendly for our little guy. It looks like she's got lots of meat. Look at the mother. Yeah, there he comes. You will see some pink. I hope it does, while the sun is shining on the ears. You can tell it doesn't know what to do. It's still in shock to be out facing all these elements, the cold, the water in the grass. Yeah. We have a bird right here who has gate crashed, and we're going to talk about him. This is the blue-eared glossy starling. Look at that. It's one of our large starlings, blue-eared glossy starling. They're highly gregarious. They feed on insects, and there is a lot of insects here for them. Also seeds, they do feed. And it's one of our large starlings, blue-eared glossy starling. Very bright yellow, it's a one way of identifying it. And then it's got a dark blue around the ear. That's how you pick up and confirm it's a blue-eared glossy starling. Off you go, bye-bye. Yeah, the little guy is still there. The behavior even tells you that it is very young. Yeah, this is such a beautiful sight, but there's always more than this, so let's take you to another live location.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve, where we have started our morning with a beautiful Wahlberg's eagle perched up in this dead fever tree. Those of you who've been following along for the last couple of weeks
there's a nest that we started to investigate a couple of weeks ago, and we're very close to that nest. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the pair that is currently tending that nest, just sitting out in the open for now, surveying the landscape before he starts to head out for the day to hunt, or before it starts to head out. There you go, off it goes. Flying back over those fever trees and off into the distance. My name is Damon, and behind the camera this morning is Craig, and we're going to be exploring some of the open plains, very similar area to where we were yesterday. Remember yesterday afternoon we saw that giraffe carcass and those lions, and we've been past that spot already. The carcass is finished, and there's still some leg bones and a tiny little bit of meat left on the legs and around the ribs. There's a couple of white-backed vultures and tawny eagles that were sitting in the tree there, but no sign of where the lions have gone. So we've come towards some of the more prominent waterholes to see if we can find any tracks, and hopefully we'll be able to find the lions for you this morning. Also, just looking now out over the grassland with my binoculars, I can see some buffalo, I can see some giraffe, and hopefully, maybe even a bit later, we might even find some rhinos. But that's going to be our plan. We're going to try and search this area a bit more, try and find some tracks of where these lions have gone. And we'll see what else we can find for you along the way. Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda. Sorry about that, everybody. There's a bit of a technical issue there. Of course, when we come to you live from the African wilderness, there's always going to be challenges, and we just have to do the best we can. So apologies for that. I suppose it's part of the fun. I'd just like to show you a little bit of this beautiful view that we've got from this little spot that we've stopped at. And I mentioned I could see some giraffe, and looking through my binoculars, it looks like it's quite a big group of giraffe. So I'm just going to ask Craig to zoom in onto that ridge line in the distance there, and you might be able to see silhouetted against the Ubombo Mountains. There's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 giraffes. There's at least 10 giraffes all up on that ridgeline there. Oh, and look at the two on the far left, everybody. They were both staring quite fixedly into those guarri bushes there. The rest of the group is looking quite relaxed, all busy feeding, but now those two on the left have also relaxed, and they're also now starting to eat. Oh, I got all excited there. I thought that maybe they'd spotted something like a lion or a cheetah. And that's one of the really fun things about searching for animals in this part of the reserve, is because it's so open, we can use binoculars and scan way into the distance, either to try and spot like the white belly of a lion as it's lying down on its side, or to watch other animals' behavior. They can help us to find a predator. Of course, a giraffe, like we've seen a couple of times over the last few months, if it spots a predator like a lion, it'll stare at it. Sassy Cassie, you're asking how long do healthy giraffes live for in the wild? Sassy Cassie, they can live to be in their 20s. And I suppose, yeah, the healthy part is an important factor, because disease and lack of food, lack of good nutrition, good resources can be a big factor in determining the lifespan of an animal. But if a giraffe lives to be in its 20s, Sassy Cassie, it's done pretty well. But what a beautiful view that is. Yo. Those lovely green Ubomba mountains in the background. And I'm just looking with my binoculars now, trying to see what else I can see in that region. Let's see if I can see that herd of buffalo that we saw earlier. We'll see if we can get them on camera. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5 buffalo bulls. Tough to see from here because they're so far away, but through the binoculars, they do all look like they've got really big sets of horns, big bosses on top of their heads, big thick necks. So probably a bachelor herd of old buffalo bulls. And just like the giraffes, look at how they've also got their heads down, also busy feeding. Of course, feeding on grass as opposed to the leaves that the giraffe were feeding on. But all of these animals making use of the cool temperatures of the morning to try and take in as much food as they can. Of course, both giraffe and the buffalo being ruminants, they will spend the cool of the morning taking in as much food as they can before going to a nice cool spot to rest for the middle of the day and chew the cud.
Alrighty guys, so we are back at the new burrow, or not back, we're at the new burrow for the first time. I don't know how much you heard the first time. We had a little bit of an audio problem, but no meerkat yet. The wind is pushing a little bit still, and it's coming straight from the south, so coming from the Cape, and typically that brings in a little bit of cooler temperatures, which is great for us, but you know, it causes the meerkats to lay in a little bit. As you know, the rock stars, for those of you who have been following us for a while, they do like their sleep, so they do sleep in quite often, especially on a cooler morning. So we're hoping that they'll come out early. The sun is out now, so it's baking nicely. I can feel it's warming up on my skin. So they might start waking up not too long from now. Luckily, there is a nice sandy patch where they can go and sun themselves as soon as they do wake up, and it's facing directly into the sun. But as you can see about the burrow now, quite a bit more dry vegetation around here. So that would cause an up in like termite activity. There's a little bit more shrubs like the raisin bushes and so on that we have around here, so definitely a little bit more hiding spots for things like beetles and scorpions and all of those things. So possibly that is why they have now moved to this new burrow. It is actually the first night that they ever spend here that we know of, so quite interesting to see that. Like I mentioned earlier, always interesting to see when animals change their behavior slightly and why, and you know, trying to figure out why they've done so. So that's pretty cool. And there's some exciting news. Veronique just told me that the mukalas, the other group of meerkats, have 1-week-old babies now. So we are possibly going to, in the near future, go towards them, see how they're doing. The female on this side is 55 days pregnant now, exactly. So in about, well, as the books say, about 15 to 19 days, she should also give birth, so that would also be exciting. And then another update, the Xhosa group also has the alpha female looking like a little tennis ball, so very, very pregnant. So hopefully soon we'll have 3 sets of new babies in the habituated groups of meerkats. But yeah, as you can see, no activity at the moment. We're hoping that they wake up soon, and if they do, that'll be great. I haven't seen these guys in a while. We've been on the We just had a question from Nick. Will meerkats kill cobras? Nick, I haven't seen them do so personally. They do mob them quite a bit. The Cape cobras, typically speaking, are rather large. So they'll avoid them mob them a little bit, make sure that the cobra knows they are there. However, when it's hatching season and there's little ones slithering around everywhere, if a group comes across a baby, like let's say a 20 centimeter Cape Cobra, there's a good possibility that they might go for it. It's always possible. You can never rule that out. However, as far as eating or killing snakes or snake-like things are concerned, the closest that I've seen them personally doing is the legless skinks, and then they go for big ones. I mean, they can go for 45 centimeters to a meter that I've seen them grabbing. I mean, that meerkat is, after a while, so full he gets nauseated about just eating it, continuing to eat it, but he goes for it. So I want to say yes, they will, but it's going to be the small ones. And if they encounter a larger individual, let's say anything up to a meter, or let's say anything over 40 centimeters, they will rather avoid it, rather not risk the injury or the casualty, than to go for something as venomous as a cobra or a Cape Cobra or the black spitting cobra that we have around here. And just let it be. The cobras, however, they kill the meerkats quite often, unfortunately. You find that either whilst they are busy foraging, they bump into a cobra, and that cobra was very well hidden up until that point, so they'll go for one of the individuals, or he comes at night and he goes into the burrow system and he grabs one or two, depending on how hungry he is. So yes, Cape Cobras, and for that matter, black spitting cobras, definitely kill the meerkats. And to a certain point, the meerkats will be able to kill the smaller individuals of the cobra family in the Kalahari. However, when they get a little larger, I don't think they want to risk the injury or the casualty. So they would rather just mob it, make sure that the cobra knows that they know it's there, try and irritate it enough to, potentially move off and out of the area so that they know they can sleep safe and soundly tonight. But yeah, it's interesting times, guys. We are hoping that this burrow will be very productive for the group. We're going to wait here, and as soon as they wake up, we'll come back here with you guys and show you how the meerkat family is doing.
Good luck with the meerkats. Hopefully they finally come out of the burrow. We're now sitting here with such a pretty looking bird, a raptor. We're looking at a Bateleur eagle. It's probably just warming up before taking its flight, trying to hunt. But we're looking at the male, so a lot of a duck, and their wings. A very short tail. All you see on their back appearing there, it's all part of the feather from their wings. So you hardly see the tail on these eagles. And they also, when I hunt, mostly hunt on birds, lizards. Sometimes they may seem mixed up with other raptor during their drinking in waterholes during a hot day. It can be sometimes temporarily flogs which all mixed or more than 3 birds together, but they're always solitary sometimes. When the male's around or female's around, well, he's a male, should be female somewhere else. Or you probably hooked up with her, probably during a hunting. Such a beautiful red, big legs also. pretty beautiful. Kind of not sure, because sometimes they always be around where there's a kill, but this is where you see more than one raptor, which is Bateleur and the tawny eagles over a vulture. And this is what you can guarantee, that it's probably something around that died, or they're waiting for something. It's quite a strong bird. Sometimes they take a flight during a definitely can hear these old birds making all different calls from both sides. It makes me actually wanting to take just a moment of a silence again, just to be able to hear what's around us. Beautiful sound. So all the sound that you hear, including doves, including all of his hippos and chagras, all mixed up, all making their own communication, but it sometimes indicate that the day is going to be pretty much open sky. Alpha, I think I heard well there your name. So their eyes, it's dark eyes, slightly dark, and it's all surrounded by the red, including the red that's actually appear right around their face. But yeah, they have such a beautiful, slightly dark eye, and also their beak is slightly yellow, attached to the slightly red, and the hair end of that beak, all that you see gray. But yeah, they have a blackish eye. But I can tell you they very good outside. This bird can see things, from height flight. Like during that hot day, you all see this type of eagle fly from the ground and straight up in the sky, circle around. But it's always so important for them to do that when it's clear sky, so they were able to pick up their thermos so easy, pick up the smells, or spot whatever it is on the ground, or see them land right onto the right position of the kill. Looking at a full-grown bird right there, usually when it's still young, it's all about gray, brown color it's got. Hardly to see even this red or yellow or beak. So I'm going to leave this bird, continue with my search again.
How incredible is this? We were able to with the help of some of the other rangers and the tracker, to find this pride of lions. Now, this is the young male that's often been seen with that pride, the Birmingham pride. And you can see now it is starting to warm up. Look at the way that he's panting. See, he's swaying his head. And also look at his tongue moving over his teeth. So it is quite warm. And there's also quite a nice patch of sun on him, so it might not be too long before he eventually gets up and starts moving into some more shade. There was just a bird that flew up behind us, and that's what grabbed his attention. And so where he's lying down in comparison to the others is he's lying down in the outskirts, because the two Ross males, or the two dominant males, are currently with the pride. So just imagine, as soon as he moves closer, of course they'll perceive him as a threat and just push him out again. But for him, if he wants to stay with his pride, he needs to be on the outskirts and he needs to be submissive. And that's why he's been able to be part of this pride for such a long time now, even though he is already well over 4 years old. Just a little sneeze there. Have a look at the colour of those eyes. Very majestic. They almost look very similar colour to his mane, like a golden colour. That very prominent white underneath the eye. And also the size of those teeth. Imagine, like if he has to grab hold of something. Now, for some of our viewers that don't know the story too well about this particular male, now, if we move a little bit further away from him, like you'll see here, he doesn't have a lot of scars, but you'll see his one back leg is not looking too great whenever he gets up and starts moving. Now, a while ago, he had a fight with the two dominant males, and because of that, he had quite a bad injury to his leg, but it has recovered quite well, and he's able to keep up with the pride and partake in the hunts and that. So he's done really well in order to survive. At a stage, he was so skinny, like you see where that white part is, where his back legs join up. Like you could see the ribs, you could see his hips. It was really, he wasn't in a good condition. But he's done really, really well. I agree with all of you. He's looking phenomenal. But as I said, maybe let's give it some time with him, because just to show you on this side, so the other lions are basically lying down here, and there are some, there's actually the young white male has gotten up, and he's moving towards the other members of the pride. But where they are now, we might have to maneuver soon. Let's just focus on these ones that are here, and then we'll try and see if we can get another view soon. But you can see here's a lioness lying down, and just on the other side, notice the browner grey colour, as well as that mane around the edge. So that's one of the Ross males. Females tend to be lighter in colour. Like look at this one here. See how white it is under her belly, especially under the chin, all the way down towards the tail, where that male on the other side, very darker, a lot darker in colour. And just to show you here, so that's the rest of the pride. So what we might just do is try and see if we can loop around to get another view of them.
You're back with Craig and I here at andBeyond Phinda. We're still searching for any signs of that pride of lions. No luck just yet, but there's quite a beautiful scene unfolding here in front of us. A couple of different herbivores that have come together excuse me, around this clearing. See that family of warthogs, as well as a lone wildebeest bull, and a herd of impala too. And look at how vibrant and green the ground is there. Lots of really good quality forage. And that's why all these herbivores have come to the same spot. There's a warthog. It's just stopped now. I was going to say, there was a warthog that was scratching itself on a stick off to the right, but unfortunately it has now stopped. But it looked like it was having the best time. Had this faraway look on its face. But as I was saying, so really good food here. Lots of short grass and also low-growing herbs and forbs. And that's what the warthogs and the impala will be feeding on, as well as the grass. The wildebeest will be here just for the grass, though. I wonder what just happened. See how they've started to move away. We've been sitting here for a little while, so it's not us. I mean, it can't be that they've only just noticed us now. We're pretty conspicuous, sitting here in a big vehicle. But the wind has just picked up from behind us. And I wonder if there wasn't maybe a bit of an ominous scent on the wind. Maybe we're not far from that pride of lions. Maybe this on the wind was carried the scent of something potentially dangerous, and that's what's made these animals move away a little bit. But out here on this clearing, will be very tough for any, I mean, look at how open it is. It would be pretty tough for any predators to sneak up on these animals, and maybe one of the reasons why, apart from the food, they're sticking to this area. Oh, there's a warthog busy scraping its face on a thorn tree there. I think it's just stopped. No, it's still doing it. See what it's doing there? Rubbing its head up against the base of that little thorn bush. It looks like it might be a boar, a male warthog. And so that's quite a typical behavior for adult warthog boars. It's almost a way of... Oh, what's going on? It's like he's trying to chase the little... It was that boar. He was chasing the smaller warthogs around. Last year's piglets. And then just off to the left, look at the wildebeest and how it's now starting to lie down there. At first it kind of hooved the ground, clearing a bit of a patch, and then it bent down and kind of rubbed its head on the ground. And he's now laying down. Also, while we were watching that warthog busy kind of rubbing its face against that tree, I noticed that wildebeest defecated there as well. So another territorial behavior that's going on here. Defecating on a patch, then scraping his hooves on the ground, wiping his forehead there, and then lying down. Sounds delightful, doesn't it? But that's just how he lets other wildebeest know that this is his territory. And a bit like that bull we saw yesterday evening, this is also quite a good patch of territory to have for this wildebeest. There's a nice open clearing, there's good food here for him to feed on, and that food will no doubt then attract females. There's also water not far from here. So all the attractive factors in terms of wildebeest territory. It looks like the impalas have all moved off, and as have the warthogs. Ooh, there's something interesting going on here in a low-growing bush, everybody. I'm just going to ask Craig to pan across there quickly. There's a whole bunch of little birds that are all swarming around the canopy of a little tree that's been pushed over. And we'll just let you zoom in there. They've been calling quite a bit and hopping around that canopy quite a lot. There's some blue wax balls on the right-hand side. You might be able to see a splash of yellow at the top of your screen as well. There's a male yellow-fronted canary, a whole bunch of red-billed quailias, a couple of southern grey-headed sparrows, and a couple of yellow-throated petronias. and a golden-breasted bunting, a whole bunch of seed-eating birds. And they're all kind of flitting around that tree. They've slowed down a bit now, but earlier they were frantically hopping around there and calling, looking into the middle of that bush. So I wonder if they didn't maybe see a snake going in there. There was also a sabota lark that had joined in as well. It was also calling and looking into that bush there. But see how the birds are now kind of dissipating. They're all flying away. I think whatever was there is not a threat for them anymore. And they're all starting to fly away. A beautiful little scene though, with all those different herbivorous animals out on this open plain, and then all those birds in that little thicket there. I think Craig and I are going to leave this little clearing, and we're going to keep on heading towards a couple of different waterholes to go see if we can find tracks of where that pride of lions have gone.
So have a look at this one male lioness just picked up his head, and where he's staring at the moment is he's staring straight at that other young male. And every time this young male moves just to swat a fly, you can see, look at how intently this one is staring. He'll close his eyes, but every time there's a lot of movement, he'll immediately focus. He was lying down, and as soon as this younger male lifted his head, he immediately picked up his head to have a look. Now, even the other Ross male, he's staring at him as well. So probably one of the females would be probably getting close to estrus, and now he's staying with the pride. So as soon as one of them gets a bit closer, he feels very uncomfortable with them being around. You can even see, look at all the scars. I don't know if you'd noticed when he turned his head slightly right, there's a massive chunk that's missing just on his upper and lower lip on the side. And that might have been from a fight. Don't know if it was with one of the females or maybe with one of the males, but it's slowly starting to heal. It was probably inflicted maybe close to 2 weeks ago. See, he's just staring again. Now, just to show you, so I'm going to ask Owen just to head across to the line on this side here, just to show you more or less the line of sight where that male is looking at. So he's looking at the other Ross male, which is lying there, and then this one that's just behind us. So you'll see right there in the back of that tree, there's the one lying down there. But he's not so much staring at him, he's more staring at this young male that is just behind us here. With him getting up, it's going to be interesting to see. Let's see how he walks. See, he still has a bit of a limp, but he is doing a lot better. At a stage, he could not even put any pressure on that leg. But what I want you to do is have a look at this other Ross male now, the one that was staring at him earlier. And I want you to see how his whole body language changed now. So look at this. Look at how he's following him. See, with him lowering his head, I'm sure if he gets too close to the pride, he'll probably start getting up. Now what's very interesting is this young male actually went to go and lie down next to that other Ross male, which is a bit more tolerant of him. How intently he's just staring at him. Because remember also, the other thing is, because he hasn't fully accepted him in the pride yet, and even though they are close, maybe the other one has accepted him a bit more, but once he starts getting closer to the females, especially if one of them goes into estrus, this one will be ready to fight. But just showing you where he's decided to lie down. Now what I might do, because there is that that dead tree in the way, I might just reposition the vehicle slightly so we can have a look at both of them. So just bear with me as I move slowly forward, trying to open up a bit of a view. It might not guarantee a good view at all, but let's give it a go.
Well, here we have baboons, and they're very busy foraging. It's normal for them to do this these early hours of morning. These are the olive baboons. They live in troops of about 60 to 80. The ratio from males to females is almost the same. And yeah, looks like some very big males there. See them, and some very young ones also at the same time. Yeah, early in the morning, they associate and come out to sun themselves and also groom themselves. It's part of their social interaction early in the morning. You find them out in the open, checking for, insects and also lice on their skin. Here they're feeding on the little seeds of the croton dachogamus, which is fruiting. There's a tiny little one. I don't know if you see it there. It's got a pink face. Really cute. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, did you see that? He jumped to pick up a seed. Yeah, there's the little one. Still very wobbly. I would say it's a few days old. They usually have a pink face, pink ears when they're only about 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Yeah, they have amazing eyesight, and these guys can weigh up to 50, 60 kilos. They're really big ones. They hold a territory or a home range, and they have a favorite area where they forage, which they establish over a period of time. Sometimes they extend it, and they know where to be depending where there is availability of. Oops. Hasn't mastered not to climb weak branches. So they will master the area by knowing which area to be at a specific time. So maybe they haven't been here for about 2, 3 weeks, and after the rains, the tree has got a few berries and they've come for it. It's a knowledge that they learn over a period of time. Remember, they're primates, and so they have the capacity to remember and to think. And so they will come when it's okay to be here. Apart from that, they eat a lot of vegetable matter from fruits, and they're in plenty over here. There is a tree that is fruiting called Wamboge ugantensis, produces fruit like avocado. Oh, look at that guy. What happened to his nose? The one to the left? I'm going to take my binoculars and have a look. Is he going to stop? Yeah, can you stop so you can see your nose? Yeah, you see him? He's got a very pink nose. I don't know what happened to his nose. Yeah, he lost a lot of his nose. Could have been from a fight. Definitely, he's lost most of his upper side of the nose. You can see that. So they're always, foraging on the ground, eating insects, eating fruits, eating grass. They also eat, small birds if they come across. Even old carcasses, if they come across, they'll nibble on them. But they will hunt, small antelopes like impala fawns. While foraging like this, they have security in place where they have a few sentries on high points on certain trees at a distance. So in case of danger, they just need to have one back, and everybody knows that all is not well, and everybody run to the closest tree. The call goes like this. Ho! Ho! So you look behind. Ho! That's how it sounds, and it is better than mine. So when they call like that, everybody scampers to the nearest tree, and then from that tree they can try and locate the danger. So you don't find the danger, you go to the tree, then find the danger. That guy is still wary of, because I called, still looking around, but they are always guaranteed that it is safe. The only animal that hunts them mostly is lion and leopard, but they don't mess around with leopards with young ones. Leopard with young ones are very, very aggressive, but they also have been known to kill leopards by ganging up. I once saw where they chased a leopard, it got into a hole, and Charlie Whiskey, thank you for your comment. Thank you for your comment. Well, you know, I've seen where big males chased a leopard and it went into a hole. They stayed around there for almost 36 hours. Every time the leopard tried to come out, they would chase it back. It is a behavior that they have. I don't know what happened eventually, but I left them. See, every time they come out of that bush, they've come out, one has come out, and they're very wary. Every step he's taking, he's being very cautious so that there is no leopard or a lion ambushing them. They have amazing eyesight. The sense of hearing and smell, it is also very acute, and they use them really well. You see, taking all cautions. Every step is taken with caution. I don't know if it's gonna go somewhere high, but definitely there is somebody ahead who's working as a sentry. Today, maybe they are moving from one location to the other, where they'll spend the rest of the day before retiring to their favorite tree on that corner of their home range. Well, I'm going to continue, so let's take you to another live location.
We have managed to find ourselves a herd of buffalo. They are very comfortably sort of settled in a thicket of silver cluster leaf trees, and I think they'll probably remain here for much of the day. It's nice and shady, it's quite moist underfoot, and so there'll be some cooth coming out of the earth, and they'll just move a little bit as the shade shifts around. It's already beastly hot, despite the fact that it's 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was just saying to Neil, you can hear them all chewing, and it sounds like a slowly flowing body of water. You won't be able to hear that because there's a very enthusiastic crested locust shouting next to us. I think that's what it is. Might be a cicada species, actually. That's cool. You can just hear them going. And it sounds like burping because, well, that's what it is. These ruminants produce a lot of gas in the rumen, in the foregut. And that gas, unlike with zebras and human beings, must come out the front, it cannot go out the back. And so belching is considered good form in the society of the buffalo. So the sounds of these little cicadas is just, I don't know, very relaxing. see one. They're all very good at hiding themselves though. I've just got a few up the front. Just see the horn through there. And he's watching us quite carefully. But it's otherwise unconcerned. Now you may be asking yourselves, why are we not driving to get closer to them? And the reason is because they will simply move away. This is about as close as they like to be to us. And while they probably wouldn't stampede, what they would do is get up and start slowly drifting further and further away from us. Because they just don't feel that comfortable around us, unfortunately. Which is fair enough. And what these shots are showing you is how it's not that difficult for a big herd of buffalo to hide. And if they're all at rest like this, and you're tracking them, these are the kinds of things you need to look for. You need to look for just the tip of a horn or the curve of a horn. Or the black shadow. It could be a termite mound or a buffalo. Andrea, they don't... I suppose they would use the thicket as cover from lions, but not really. No, the thicker the bush they're in, remember, the easier it is for the lions to hide from them. And these guys far prefer it if they can see what's coming to get them. And so, like with most of these prey species, if they can be in the open and the right temperature, then they'll be in the open. They'll seek out shade and bush when it's hot. But in the evening, you'll find them trying to find more open areas because they don't really want to be in thickets like this when lions come a-roaming, because you can imagine how easy it would be for a sneaky, clever hunting lion to hide. In fact, you could pack a pride of 20 lions within very close proximity to this buffalo herd. And that's not ideal. Well, it's ideal if you're a lion, not if you're a buffalo. All about perspective, I suppose. A whole lot more coming in from the left. I'm sure it's part of the same herd, and in fact, I'm sure this must be this herd that lost 2 of their number to the Talamati pride about 3 nights ago. Yes, leopards could eat buffalo, and leopards do sometimes take very small buffalo. Normally big male leopard, very small buffalo, often injured buffalo. But leopards would never try and take on an adult buffalo unless it was a particularly stupid leopard. Adult male buffalo, 600 to 800 kilograms, female 450 to 600 kilos. Adult male leopard, the biggest, is about 90 kilograms. So, the size difference is quite something. You can hear the flies buzzing around. I'm just watching towards the left. Niels, I don't know if you can see that bull. He's watching us carefully. He's giving us a little head shake, basically sort of a challenge. I mean, he's in no way about to attack us, I don't think. But he's just checking, you know. What do you guys want? A big, solid fellow, that. Oh, a little breeze is coming up, which will probably make them a little bit edgy. Yeah, it has made them edgy, and they've started to... A few of them are starting to run. Now they've all stopped. Go ahead. Just come to Rhino Pan. The animals are static there on the eastern side of the road. Just on the radio there. I think someone can get in. Okay, I think we'll probably leave these chaps and see what else we can find.
So alrighty guys, we have 3 of the individuals luckily that's woken up now. That one on the left hand side still waking up very slowly. We had him actually lying on, well, sitting and lying on his back at the same time at the moment, just busy cleaning his belly and so. But they are quite jumpy this morning, you know. The wind is not nice for them, but also there is a black-backed jackal in the direction which they are mostly looking, and at the moment they're looking at me and around and so on. But there was a black-backed jackal just there where that taller female is looking now. We can't see it from here at the moment. We had to walk around a little bit to try and see what was going on. So yeah, with that being the case, they are a little bit more skittish. You can see that one on the left-hand side is every now and again their head's dipping. But yeah, so the pregnant female is actually the one that's standing the tallest at the moment. So at the back, and we know that she's exactly 55 days pregnant because Veronique actually witnessed them mating. So it's been 55 days after mating, which is great because then we can do a little bit of our own research, or she can do a little bit of her own research to see whether that gestation period of about 70 to 74 days is accurate. You know, obviously it's going to differ between individuals. So some females might have a little bit of a shorter gestation period, some might have a little longer one depending on the amount of babies, the individual animal, you know, the adult, and also the conditions at that time, how quickly the babies are able to develop, you know, the amount of food that they get in, the condition of the mother, whether they were stressed or not, all of those types of things, predator activity and so on. Now you can see that little one just lying on the ground there. So hopefully soon the whole family will come out. It does look like that jackal is not coming any closer than what it is. Otherwise we would have seen some movement by now. But there we go. Hello guys. So that one on the right hand side goes as part of the previous litter. So just had a question from Dubilis. Why do animals living in such a warm environment have so much fur? Dubilis, well, first of all, being in the Kalahari, even though it gets severely hot during the day, and they've got adaptations that they do use, like going into burrows for getting away from the heat, even though they have that adaptation and it is so warm during the days. Night times, and at the moment, it can cool down quite a bit. You know, after rain in the Kalahari, you'll easily find temperatures dropping down to about 10, maybe 12 degrees Celsius during the evening. So that's going to be a cool night, and then they have to have that extra layer of or longer fur to be able to keep them warm. Also, protection from the sun. You know, we typically out here don't necessarily operate in short shorts and short-sleeved shirts when we are going to be out in the sun the whole day, because it, you know, just having long pants and long-sleeved shirts protects us from the sun a little bit more. It might be a little warmer, but it acts as an extra protective layer against the rays of the sun. And believe me, out here, you need that extra protective layer. So that does act as a type of a sunscreen, but then also remember, wintertime here for us goes down to, the coldest we had this year was -8 degrees Celsius during the nights. So then you need more than just an extra layer of fur. You need almost 2-3 duvets for that, and they don't have that. So they have that thicker layer of fur to not only keep them warm during wintertime, but also to keep them protected from the sun during summer. And it will also act, you know, the longer the fur, the more options there are as far as camouflage is concerned. And, you know, with them being so small, they do need that extra bit of camouflage. You know, if there's a raptor flying above, having those stripes on the back, we can't really see them as well at the moment, but if they do turn, you'll be able to see it properly. Barred stripes on the back, that'll help them just blend in with the surface of the earth a little bit better. And remember also, with the smaller the animal, the easier it loses heat. So even during summertime, like I said, if we do get a rainstorm or something like that, the temperatures drop quickly, and you do need an extra layer just to keep you warm at night, and also on a morning like this morning, to be able to, you know, not be too cold. For an animal like that, it's critically important to maintain, especially with warm-blooded animals, to maintain proper, you know, a constant body heat. So we just had a question from Giraffe Girl. How many litters of pups would a female, an alpha female, have in 1 year? Now, typically they'll have around, depending on the conditions, obviously, you know, in dry years where the insect activity is very low, you might find them only having 1, sometimes not at all. But typically speaking, they average between 2 and 3 litters of pups per year. In really good times, you'll find them going up to about 3, because then they are easily able to, you know, raise the pups, gain condition, get pregnant again, and in a short period of time have new puppies. However, if it is more of a difficult or just a normal year where the insect activity isn't that great or just constant, and they will have to work to regain condition, it might go down to 2. And then during dry periods, obviously, with the insect activity being very low, then they might only raise 1 set of pups per year, or just get, you know, have 1 litter of pups per year, and doesn't necessarily guarantee that they are going to raise them. So yeah, typically speaking, the average between 2 and 3 sets of pups per year, depending on the conditions, of course. I love how those little ones, you know, look at how he's leaning. He's falling asleep while he's standing on his feet. And I'm pretty sure if that sun bakes him a little bit nicer, he's going to fall right on his back. But yeah, guys, now you can see that pregnant female here right in front of us, the closest one on the left-hand side. nice and round belly already. She's not looking like the Xhosa female just yet. That one that I said that's looking like a little tennis ball. That's just purely because the Xhosa female is a little further along. So, in these last, I want to say, week to 2 weeks of their pregnancies, those puppies grow very large. And also, it might just be a case of her only having 3 little ones in her womb at the moment, and the Xhosa female having, let's say, up to 5. So that could also mean that she's going to look a little rounder at the time. But yeah, very excited that we know that the Mukalas are having pups in the burrow at the moment. They're only about a week old, so maybe in another week to 2 weeks, typically 2 weeks, they'll start coming out and being all cute, but very positive that this group has a pregnant female and the Xhosas also have a pregnant female. They've been taking a lot of strain, all 3 groups, over the last 2 to 2.5 years. So having that extra numbers will just be great. But yeah, guys, we're going to stick with them for a little bit, see if there's any more activity happening, see if they want to start foraging soon. In the meantime, we're going to send you somewhere else to go and enjoy another great sighting.
Welcome back to a very peaceful scene at andBeyond Phinda, where Craig and I have found what look like 2 youngish white rhino bulls taking it easy in a dried up waterhole. Quite funny how they're lying in like a V shape. Look how the one is facing off to the right, one facing off to the left, sleeping pretty soundly. That little oxpecker that's landed. Oh, there's an oxpecker on the one on the left, on its shoulder, on its neck. Then there's one that's going inside the ear of the one on the right. And amazingly, that rhino didn't even flick its ear when the oxpecker went in there. Obviously, something quite irritating down there that the rhino is welcoming the oxpecker's attentions. See that rhino on the left just lifting its head a little bit there? Another vehicle just passed by and the sound of the engine just made him have a look. Something quite interesting that we can see now that we don't often get to look at. Have a look at the rhino on the left, everybody. Have a look at its face. And those of you that joined us yesterday evening, we were watching those 2 rhinos busy grazing. And we were talking about their lips and how they use that big wide mouth of theirs to crop up grass. Now that rhino is lying with its head like that, look at where its mouth is and how small. It's got a tiny little mouth right in the front of its skull. But then look at how long that skull is, and it extends all the way back, even though the opening of the mouth is only in the front. And then it's got those big cheek muscles below its eye. Look at that bulge there. I don't know if any of you have ever seen what a rhino's skull looks like, but it's got teeth going all the way back to behind where the eye is. So a very small mouth, but a lot of teeth and a lot of kind of surface area on those teeth for grinding up all the grass that this rhino takes in. Of course, a rhino, not being a ruminant, it's only going to chew its food once. And so the more processing that it can do when it chews, the better. So a very long head, just a little mouth in the front, and then lots of big molar teeth going all the way back down its skull that help it to chew. Grind up that grass before swallowing it down. Got that very peculiar way of lying down that these rhinos have. Look at that. With the back, the back leg facing forward. And it looks like that. It almost looks like from here, if that was a human being, you'd have to have very flexible hips to do that, I imagine. To sit on your butt with your legs out in front of you and then lie with your chest on the ground. And then slightly tilted off to the side. And that's typically how rhinos will lie down. as uncomfortable as it looks to us. The one on the right, I don't know if you can see, but he's actually lying, or both of them are lying on their back legs. Gail, you're asking if it's true that rhinos stamp out campfires. Gail, I have only seen that in a movie before. I've never come across it in real life, and I haven't heard of anyone actually seeing it in real life. As far as I know, Gail, it's just kind of a folk tale, a bit of a myth. But I suppose all myths have got some element of truth, or someone has made an observation that has led to that myth forming. And it may have come from perhaps a rhino that was walking along and maybe started to scent mark close to a fire, a little campfire, or a felt fire that was burning out. And of course, when white rhino bulls scent mark, often scrape their feet in the ground, scatter their dung, and that may be where the myth came from. But as far as I know, Gail, just a myth. It was a very funny scene, though, in that movie that it happened in. I don't know if you can see everybody, but have a look just between us and these two rhinos. Look on the ground there. There's a big pale patch on that very dark clay there. And it's all smoothened out earth where these rhinos have been walking around. So they've obviously been standing in this little dried up pan for quite some time, kind of pacing up and down, just standing. And like I said earlier, it's looking at how bright the sun is. There's a bit of cloud cover now and a bit of a breeze blowing, but I think later on today it's going to be a really, really hot day. Even Craig was saying this morning when he said when he walked out of his room, he thought it was going to be really, really hot. But this breeze is certainly doing a lot to alleviate the heat for now, and I think these rhinos are for now just taking advantage of this cool breeze, being able to lie in the open. Oh, look, the rhino's standing up. There's a wildebeest that's approaching from the right. And the wind is blowing in the wrong direction, so the rhino wouldn't be able to smell the wildebeest. He's probably just heard it walking, and then maybe caught a glimpse of it as it moves. Oh, it's yawning. It just yawned. It's the funniest thing. That tiny little mouth with those flappy big lips. It's the funniest thing. Shame, Rhino. It was too funny. I can't get enough of that. Rhinos yawning, especially little calves. And also when they do a phlegm and grimace, that's also a very comical thing to watch. So you're not really too concerned by that wildebeest walking there. I think it was just the sudden movement and the sudden sound of something disturbing them while they were sleeping that got their attention. And so looking at them now that they're standing up, look at how big the muscle is all around their neck there. That big muscle, of course, needed to hold that massive head while they walk across the ground and while they graze. And I said earlier, they don't look like they're particularly big white rhino bulls. They look like they're still pretty young, still not quite. Oh, he's also yawning. The one on the left. It's a long yawn. I wish he was facing towards us. It's not quite as funny when they don't face towards you. You got to get the full view from the front. Yeah, so probably not yet territorial just yet. They haven't quite filled out yet, like a white rhino bull in his prime has. They look like a big tank from the front, the really big, thick neck and big shoulders. And these guys are pretty big, but not yet in their prime, I don't think. And probably one of the reasons why they're together like this. Not yet territorial. So just spending some time together to keep each other company. But maybe in another 2 or 3 years, they'll be big enough and strong enough to go challenge for a territory of their own. and then start scent marking. And start giving... start scent marking and making people think that they're putting out campfires, maybe. Standing very still for now, though. I think just enjoying having the nice cool breeze blowing over them. And of course also this time of the year, in spring and after the rains we've had recently, there's lots and lots of really good quality food around for them, so they can afford to spend time doing nothing, spend time just resting, saving energy, so they don't have to spend as much time feeding as they would have had to a couple of months ago in the dry winter. That was very cool though, just spending a bit of time with these two rhinos, watching them cool off in the wind there. I think from here they're probably going to start moving out into a nearby riverbed. There's one not too far from here, it's got lots of big trees, and I think they'll sense that it's going to be a hot day, so they'll want to go and take a bit of shelter. And we'll see if they go off and do that.
Here we are with the beautiful scenery overlooking the plains and the bushland of the Masai Mara. A day that is so calm, even the birds are not as noisy as they're supposed to. I think everybody was too wet yesterday, and now they're just enjoying the bit of sun that is shining over these beautiful plains. So just take a look at this beautiful view and take it in by yourself. Yes, that's how quiet it is. It is so calm, no disturbance. And that's the road that leads us to the other side of the river. That's where I'm heading. This is where we last saw Bahati, and I don't know if he's still around, so I'm going to be looking for him around this area, and hopefully, the mother will turn, themselves so that, we can get to say hello again.
Alrighty guys, so a bit more activity starting to happen. There's still one or two individuals at the original burrow where they came out this morning, but I can see some of the other individuals starting to move around in this grey patch of thicket, just to your right hand side, and a little bit of burrow maintenance happening, all of those types of things with the wind blowing as it is at the moment. One or two of these burrows has had a bit of sand coming through during the night, so they have to clean that out quickly before they start their daily activities, starting to forage and doing all of those things. But just great to be with these guys again and see how cute they are and see that they're doing well. These youngsters are just the cutest. As soon as they come out of this thick patch, we'll move the camera a little bit and just have you come and see them with us. They are just the best. But for the time being, seeing those little guys sun themselves are just, I love doing that. I love how those little paws just hang like this, and there's actually one of the individuals at one of the other groups that actually folds his hands as he stands like that, which is quite cool. But typically just those hands hanging down are the best. As you can see, still very alert, very much looking around, trying to make sure.
So we've just repositioned the vehicle now just so we can have another look at this pride. And you can see most of them have moved together now and are lying down in a patch of shade. Now look at this one right in front here. She's lying on her back with her paw rested on this little twig. Have a look at that. You can actually see on her paw, see those black markings? So that's exactly where the claws are tucked in, only to be used when necessary. But even, like if you look around her face, can you see all the different scars around the bridge of her nose? So maybe as she was fighting to get some scraps of meat amongst the others, that's how she could have gotten those scars. Also, you don't know whatever they might have tried to kill. Maybe like a wildebeest could have easily given her a gash there. But the other male is just lying down at the very back then, with the one, more dominant one, right here in the shade, the one with the darker mane.
Beautiful. Good luck with the lions. We came across very interesting creatures over here. A water monitor lizard on land. Such an amazing creature that sometimes they move out of the water for their own hunt around. See how sticking its tongues out. And that's how it's able to sense when it takes that tongues back into the mouth, on top of the roof of the mouth. And that's where olfactor, sense organ, deducted from. And that animal able to tell how far whatever it's hunting, could be maybe behind the partner, for them to able to reach one another. They have to track one another that way. So the tongue, it's all about able to sense, similar to snakes as well. But these have external ears, a little bit of the holes of the ears. You know, it's very difficult to able to see right now because it's on its hunt. So in the water, they would be hunting anything from frogs, even fishes, these worms around the mud, and they will be eating them as well. And they come out of the land like this, we're searching for anything that would be sleeping in one of these trees. Even those grasshoppers will be taken up. Come across. Chameleon as well will be taken. Small snake that won't able to move away immediately out of that animal would be taken. Remember, they're also a cold-blooded creature, just like snakes and most other lizards. So I'm still I come back to the southern boundary again. Haven't actually got luck with a leopard, but we're still going to be on search. I'm going to be leaving this a lizard and moving on.
These two white rhinos have come out of the dried up little waterhole and they've come to a little pan next to the water. And they've just arrived now. They've been smelling around the edge of the water, but they haven't yet committed to... There we go. He started to drink. Look at that. And we'll see if the other starts to drink as well. Obviously not as thirsty as the one on the right. We're just going to sit here quietly because we've noticed that every subtle movement has seemed to cause these rhinos to get a bit of a fright. Like a warthog came running past and the rhinos got a bit of a jolt. A wildebeest also came past. But they seem okay for now. Just listening for now. But I'm pretty sure that one on the far side is going to start to drink again. Oh, look, they've lifted their heads again. There's another wildebeest coming in. Consulting detective, you're asking if rhinos like to mud wallow, like buffalo do. Absolutely, consulting detective. So have a look on the back of the rhino that's on the right. Can you see how his back is covered in dried up flakes of mud? And absolutely, consulting detective, on a hot day like it's going to be today, rhinos will often go and lie in water or they'll go into a mud wallow, and it can be really funny because they don't leave a single piece of their skin sometimes uncovered. I mean, how did the mud get up onto his back like that? And it's often really funny to watch them because they'll roll onto their backs like hippos do in the water. And they'll roll all over the place. They'll wiggle around and get mud on their backs, on their sides, on their faces. And they'll absolutely cover themselves in mud. And then, yeah, just like buffalo, they'll move away from the mud wallow. And once it's dry, they'll often go and rub themselves against a scratching post, like a tree or a stump or a rock. And I'm sure if we look closely at some of these, I'm going to have a look at my binoculars at some of these trees here. In fact, yeah, most of these little trees around this waterhole have got a little bit of a smooth side to them. At least one of the sides is quite smooth from where animals have been rubbing themselves. Most of them look like it's quite low down, so it's mainly been things like warthogs. And this rhino on the right here, how he's got his tail curled up over his back. And often a curled up tail like that is a sign of a rhino that's excited or agitated. So I don't know what's got him worked up. So I don't think it's us. We've been sitting here for quite a while and they haven't showed any signs of being disturbed by us. James, you're asking at what age do white rhino bulls normally become a bit more solitary? What age do they come into their prime and start defending their territory? James, it's normally around kind of 10 years old, sometimes maybe a bit younger. But that's normally when they... Oh, look, that one's going to defecate there. Kind of between 7 and 10 years old, I suppose, depending on the area. So what should they do now? See how they... I know it's very... no, it's quite gross. But see what he's doing there, how he's starting to scrape his back feet in his dung. This is interesting, because this is normally behavior that's reserved for a big territorial bull. But he didn't do it too much. It was just a very, very little bit that he scraped his feet. So a big territorial bull, when he normally goes and defecates, he'll go and defecate on a midden. a pile of dung that he'll add to whenever he goes past that area, and he'll scrape his feet vigorously in that pile of dung to get the scent of it all over his feet, so that as he walks around his territory, his smell gets deposited. Look at that wildebeest. He's calling the rhinos bluff. Didn't want to move away. Very, very cheeky wildebeest. Obviously fancies his chances against 2 white rhino bulls. But that was incredible to see, to get to watch that bull drink, watch them move away, and then I know it was a little bit gross, but watching him defecate. And those rhinos are heading exactly where we said they were going to go. They're going down towards that riverbed, no doubt going to go and lie in the shade there for the hotter part of the day. Craig and I are going to leave them be, and we're going to make our way back in the direction of where we saw the remains of that carcass earlier, see if we can find where those lions have gone.
Well, always nice to see white rhinos. Long live the rhinos. Here we have the tall one, and inquisitively he's standing tall and looking down towards me. I'm quite far away, but he's very interested in me, or she is. What a beautiful sight. This is the Masai giraffe, the only type of giraffe we find here. Of course, it's named after the place and the people. You can pronounce it Ma, double A, M double A, S A I, or Ma, M A S A I, M with an A, S A I, Masai. Both it's called, named after the land and the people, Masai giraffe. They live in a collective name called the Tower of Giraffe, a journey of giraffe. And here they looks like they have been walking on the road. Must be very different to walk on even ground. Look at those two on the road, looks like they're wearing some white socks. It's one way of identifying this species if you're not looking at the pattern of the body, which is block pattern. Sorry, it's patches or jigsaw puzzle. Looks very broken. There are quite a good number of them spread out along this area. I think they're just passing, as you can see. They're scattered. There is nothing much for them to feed on, so definitely they were going through. And as I came here, using the road, they stopped to watch the vehicle. He's going back. Maybe he would like to see me closer. Maybe I'll get closer and see. And we have no shortage of these guys, although they're very threatened and endangered at the same time. Population in the world stands at under 100,000. So to see 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10 every now and then is a big bonus. I hope you appreciate that every day. Main things facing these guys is habitat loss and poaching. Many of them die through snares that are not actually meant for them. They are meant for other animals, but giraffes walk into them and they end up getting entangled in their legs mostly, and so they lose their legs and sometimes they end up dying. He's walking towards the road now. Beautiful sight. Looks like that's a male to the right. The rest looks like females. I don't know how far they'll walk towards me. This is just super. The height of a giraffe is an added advantage against predators and any threat. The eyesight also is well developed, so they can see far There we go. The young guy is walking towards the others. How cool is that? Two ladies looks like they're enjoying chewing their cud. Chewing cud. Linda, how are the vertebrae in a giraffe's neck? Well, compared to human, we have the same number, 7, but giraffes are humongous compared to humans. They're about 24 centimeters each. Take a ruler and have a look at that. You will be shocked how big they are, and also very strong bones. So they have 7 and very long ones. It's an adaptation so that they can reach to high heights, reach those trees that they feed on. While standing, it seems like it's always got the longest neck and it can reach for anything. But while looking down, giraffes have got the shortest neck. You know, they have to splay their legs, hence making them very vulnerable. Looks like they have spotted something down towards the plain, and that's why all attention has been, focused on that side. You can see that. They have amazing eyesight, and they can see very far. I use them a lot to locate game while I'm here. Every time I see them looking into a bush, looking at a distance, I will take my binoculars and look into that direction. Some, 50% of the time, I'll always find a prey, either hyena, leopard, a lion, or cheetah. So they're very good to use when you're desperate and you're looking for something out here. Yeah, he has arrived, and now he is checking the females, the male. That girl doesn't want much to do with him, so she's leaving. Okay, I'm gonna turn around and follow you, and there's nothing you can do. Yeah, the one at the back looks like she's the tallest. She's a fully grown female, and they can stand at 18 feet. 18 feet is very tall. Okay, here comes another one. He wants to be famous also. Look at the droppings of a giraffe. You'd think that they would come out as in... Jeffrey Jambo, thank you for your interesting question. Can giraffes be hit by lightning? Well, no, and I don't have very much to explain. I don't think they have anything that can conduct, heat or attract lightning. I've never seen any being hit. So, no, they cannot be hit by lightning. In fact, I've never seen any animal hit by lightning here in the wild. Maybe one of my guides might correct me, but my fellow guides might correct me, but I've never seen that. That is such a beautiful picture. Look at that. Here we don't do Photoshop, it's real. Yeah, looks like they love that spot on the road. It's high, it's bare, and they're just happy. I hope no vehicle comes to chase them away, and so they can relax for a little bit. Apart from that male who seems to be very interested in the others, look at that. Yeah, their numbers are increasing, but very, very slowly. Yeah, here comes another one. I love the road also. Nice. And, they live about 25 years. They'll give birth almost every about 4 years. So it's an animal that needs to be taken care of. The one way back there looks like she's carrying a young one. We've been seeing some young ones. Yeah, that female loves rubbing, the face on one another. Look at that. Did you see the little drink? It wants to drink, but it doesn't want to be disturbed. Let's see if it's going to drink. Yeah, the old female to the right doesn't want to do anything with this gang. It's heading away. It's an old cow, that one. Okay, are you gonna drink, a little one? It looks like she wanted to drink earlier. And then it was... Kelly, what is the biggest giraffe tower I've ever seen? Well, thank you for that question. I've seen, I think there were about 72. There is a few spots that you can see this amount of giraffes. And one of them is Tswalu Game Reserve in Tanzania. There, I think I have seen about 72 together, but also in a place called Olderkesi in the eastern side of the park, Greater Mara, I have seen something like around 68. That is the most. Other people have seen more than 150 and more, but yeah, those are the ones that I've seen. Looks like they're leaving the road slowly. A very bully male. It's normal for males to check on females if they're coming into season. He's wandered to the left, the male, the females are heading to the right. This is an area that has got a few trees to the left and right, and so I think everybody is deciding on which direction they want to go. They've been here before maybe, and so they know what is found here, and everybody knows where to go. While they've been there, I'm sure they have checked out. Look at that. That's the only time you see a giraffe almost jumping. Let's see if the other one is going to do it. It's very, very rare to see giraffes do that. Or is he taking a longer route? Same spot? Okay, let's wait and see. Checking. Everything is fine. Are you going to go around or jump? Look at that. Yep. Wow, look at that. Yeah, it's the only time you see that small jump giraffes do. I've never seen them do more than that. I think they've had enough of the road and time to head out into the bushes and do what they do best. They eat for almost 20 hours a day, constantly. They're eating giraffes. They're heading out towards the bushes. There is quite a good number of them off to my right. I didn't notice that. I think Bugai will show you where they are. There's quite a good number of them. This is a beautiful area. Plenty of different type of shrubs. Remember, in the Mara, there's almost about DNA Jumbo, do giraffes sleep standing up? No. They lie down. They sit down, and sometimes they fold their heads towards their back. So they sit down and they lie down. This is mostly seated is the position they do. I was about to tell you that in the Mara we have enough species of shrubs and trees, almost over 200, and that is the least that is needed for giraffes to do well. So they can choose which area to be depending on what they want. They spend a lot of their time here, but also when they need acacias, they will head out into the, the rim of the conservancy, and there they'll find acacias. They've arrived to where they wanted, and now it's eating time. That seems to have a very pale head. We sometimes associate the lightening of the body, including face, neck, to old age, but it is different to this female. I think she was born that way because I can tell she's got very few markings. It's one way of identifying this animal sometimes, so I'll remember that for a long time. And she's happy doing what she does best. They have very long eyelashes, giraffes, for protecting them, them from being prickled by thorns and bushes. They have prehensile lips that act like fingers, so they can pull out those leaves, making it easy for them to pick up those leaves. And also you can tell them pointy mouth. It can penetrate deeply into the bush without actually pushing the whole bush away. And you can tell they're eating the top bits. Sometimes they will wrap the tongue, which is about 18 inches around a bush, and rip off everything. So they're well developed to eating leaves. It's a nice area. This one seems everybody's busy eating. Well, it's making me hungry seeing them eating. So I'm going to leave them to continue eating and find something else.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda. Craig and I have found quite an interesting little scene that's unfolded here on the road in front of me. And starting here, just in front of me here on the road, it's very tough to see. I don't know if you'll be able to see from there, and even from here it's quite tough to see because of how hard the ground is. There's a track of a leopard, and there's lots of porcupine tracks going up and down all over the place. And if I walk a little bit further forward, down here, look at all these porcupine quills that are scattered in the road in front of me here. And there's a couple also just in front of the vehicle, and a few a little bit down the road behind me. And just having a look at this quill, quite a big porcupine quill, it looks, I don't know if you can see there, but it's been crunched. It's been almost like it's been bitten. It's cracked, like if you take a feather and you crack it. And all of these quills, or at least most of them, have got similar kind of marks on them. It's as if they've been chewed by something. And the track of the leopard over there, and the track of the porcupine having moved up and down all over the place, and these quills looking like this here on the road, and the fact that there's so many of them that are scattered in a very small area, we can almost piece together a bit of a story here, what might have happened here late last night, where a porcupine would have been walking down this road and was maybe surprised by a leopard that was lying, or maybe even walking down the road in the opposite direction, maybe even following along behind the porcupine. And obviously a porcupine with these big sharp spikes, these big quills, it's quite a tough animal, even for something like a leopard to catch. And it's quite a specialized technique that leopards will need to learn to catch a porcupine. And typically what it looks like is, there's quite a few videos on the internet about it, where a leopard will go behind the porcupine and it will then quickly lie down onto its side and then use its claws to try and get beneath the quills and grip the porcupine's leg and try and flip it over, trying to pull it towards itself and flip it over onto its back, where it can get to the neck and to the belly, to the soft parts of the porcupine. But that porcupine will, of course, always turn its back towards the leopard and face these quills at the leopard to try and protect itself. And so that is potentially what happened here last night. And perhaps the leopard got a couple of mouthfuls of quills, maybe even stuck in its chest, and then it would have had to use its mouth to grab the quills and then pull them out. And I think that's where these crunch marks come from, where a leopard has actually either bitten onto the porcupine or had a quill embedded in its chest or its front leg, and it's had to then pull the quill out. And so quite a dangerous animal for a leopard to tackle, because these quills, I mean, if they go far enough into the leopard's chest, it might not be able to pull them out, or it might bite them off, and a piece gets stuck inside there, could get infected. These quills are very dirty, looking at them now. And of course, the porcupine living in a burrow under the ground for most of the day, it'll be covered in dirt and mud. Oh my goodness, this is covered in mud here. And if that went inside the leopard, it could cause quite a serious infection. And often predators will die from trying to attack a porcupine and getting stabbed. If a quill goes in the eye, also could render the leopard blind. But looking around here, there's, like I said, lots of quills and a big kind of flattened up surface here in front of me where there was, look at this, there's drag marks all over the ground here. Something's been walking around here quickly, maybe where the leopard tried to lie on its side and tried to get at the porcupine's legs. Let's have a look here. There's even a quill that's been bitten off. Look at that. So maybe, shame, maybe this poor leopard did get a quill into the chest that he couldn't quite pull out. And this one as well, with a bit of a crack down the middle there. Ah, very interesting. I suppose we'll never know for sure. We can only use the signs that we have at our disposal here to try and piece together what might have happened. But like I said, I think probably pretty late last night or in the early hours of this morning, when that porcupine would have been moving around here looking for food. No sign of any blood or any drag marks, so it doesn't appear that this leopard was successful in its attempt to try and hunt this porcupine. Very interesting. I think Craig and I are going to carry on driving. We're going to go back towards where that carcass was, and we'll see if we can find any sign of where those lions have gone to.
Well, guys, look at this. Another amazing find. Serval cat. It looks like it's hunting. Really sniffing out something. Definitely, it must have chased a mouse into the long grass and it's trying to locate it. Beautiful. Look at that. It has lost it, I think. That's why it has lost a bit of interest. And so it's heading towards maybe where it started. Maybe there is another one. And maybe it might find it. This is another of our small cats that is very rare, but we sometimes get very lucky and see them for a short time, maybe for a season, and then they disappear. They have huge territories, up to 50 square kilometers, so they can wander long distances. They are solitary. They feed on small rodents, insects, and small reptiles. Adapted with a very acute sense of hearing and very huge ears, as you can see. They are able to leap up to around 5 feet from one spot to the other and just strike or pounce on a mouse, and usually the final blow usually comes from the mouth where they crush it. They spend a lot of their time doing what they're doing right now, stalking, walking slowly. Caroline, what animals can flame and grimace? Very many. Very, very many animals do that. Most cats do it. Even herbivores, they do it. So there are very many. There's quite a variety. Buffalo, giraffe, donkeys, zebras, lions, cheetahs, leopards. There are very many animals that flame and grimace. It's mostly a way of, detecting if the hormonal balance is high for, mating time. That's how they use it. I think the Serval has gone back to where it started. They normally do that. They normally go to where maybe they spooked a mouse and hope to find another one. When it finds something, you'd see it focusing the ears forwards. You see how it's focused the ears forwards? They move like a radar. And then all of a sudden, they'll just jump and stamp it. Usually, they're very lucky. I don't know if we'll be able to see that, but yeah, it's one amazing find, this one. And to have seen it that close is also an added bonus. Jumbo, Rocky Balboa. How do they protect themselves from other cats? Of course, sight is the first thing, and equipped with those beautiful big ears, they're not only used for hunting, but they will detect movement, and they can actually judge if something bigger is coming towards them. They can run away, and they have the ability to climb a tree in case of danger, and also they can go into burrows. Apart from that, they can quickly run and dart and hide inside the bushes. What do we have here? It is a Cisticola. Cisticola looks like stout. Cisticola is the most common one we find here. Cisticola in Latin stands for grass dwelling. They're always found in grass, and looks like he's enjoying the sun. This is a group of birds that if you look in their page, they all look the same, but very few similarities. And when you're really interested, you can pick up which one it is quite quickly. Most people call them LBJs, or little brown jobs, because they all look the same. But to a keen eye and a bird watcher, you can see the difference. He's really preening, enjoying the morning sun. Yeah, it must have been cold. They can be very, very noisy also when they want to. Looks like he's gonna be there for a while. Well, I'm gonna leave you to enjoy that sight.
Yeah, at andBeyond Phinda, and have a look at these two giraffe down in the valley below us. See how the one on the left, standing very close to the rear end of the one on the right. Look at how much bigger the one on the left is. So it's a bull that is busy courting a female. And see what he's doing with his legs, how he's kind of guiding her. And he's tapping her back leg with his knee. And almost trying to kind of line himself up behind her. And this is quite typical behavior of giraffe courtship. When a male who's been following along behind a female, testing her urine for the presence of pheromones, trying to see if she's receptive or not. And obvious that she is, based on the fact that he's doing this. And for the next little while, it could be hours, if they haven't already been at this for hours, he'll stick very close behind her and keep doing these little motions where he tries to stay exactly behind her, waiting for her to kind of give consent, if you will. So see how her tail is hanging down, means she's not ready just yet. If she moves her tail to the side though, that will elicit a response from him and he'll lunge up onto her back. It can be quite comical with giraffes because it's a very quick process. It's the tail moves and suddenly the male lunges forward, and sometimes he misses and sometimes he falls off, but like I said, this could carry on for hours, where he just follows along slowly behind her. And she moves, and then he moves, and presses his chest against her rear end, against the base of her tail. But she doesn't look, and it's almost like he gets frustrated with her. And then gives her like a little bit of a bump with his chest or with his leg, saying, move forward, or hoping that her changing position might change her mind. I don't know if you saw there, it happened quite quickly, but when she moved away, there was a split second where he let her go forward a bit, and then he bent down to sniff around her rear end, just making 100% sure that she is ready to mate. Interesting to see the size difference between these two giraffe from this distance, and also the color difference. That female being more of like a caramel color, the male being much darker. See, every time she stops, he presses his chest up against her back. But it could, like I said, this process could go on for hours, and I think it's getting pretty hot out here. So Craig and I are gonna leave these two giraffe, and who knows? Yeah, maybe a little bit later he might get to mate. But for now, though, I think we'll leave them and we'll carry on making our way through the grassland here.
Here we have got a spoonbill that is sitting at Chitwa Waterhole. And there are a couple of hippos here. But on the mammal front, everything is very quiet. That hippo is making that noise because I've basically intimated that it isn't a mammal, which of course it is. It's not a fish. And the little spoonbill is looking for small fish and aquatic invertebrates. And sometimes that spoon-like beak is used to probe in the mud, but mostly not. I imagine it must be quite a tricky life. I think that's probably why you don't find that many of them here, because in these seasonal waterholes, I don't know how many fish there can be. I mean, we know that there are often quite a lot of catfish in this waterhole. So maybe it's just eating the little ones, the babies. endless soundtrack of the Egyptian goose. Oh, the hippo's so lucky to spend their days in the water. Well, on days like today anyway. I think we're staring down the barrel of 40 degrees, if I'm not mistaken, today. So it's going to be pretty warm. Spoonbill there got something. I suspect it's mostly invertebrates that they're getting there. Ooh, Niels, on the bank here is a small wading bird. It is. It is the common sandpiper, I think. Is it? Just quickly check my... It wasn't the one I was looking at, but that one's just as good. Now that's not a common sandpiper, that is the wood sandpiper, I think. And then the common one is off towards the left of that one. Just before anybody shouts at me for being so incompetent, we weren't looking at the same bird, Niels and I. Just next to the stump on the left there. Just arrived there now. Yeah, that's it. The first one a wood sandpiper, and then the second one there, pretty sure is the common. It's the only one that has that crescent of white in front of the wing, which that one has. That's really cool. DJ, we sometimes get 2 crocodiles in this waterhole. I'm pretty sure they're here now. Where they are, I don't know. But you wouldn't find me swimming in here for any money. So they're around, for sure. We've actually watched an impala being taken Mara River style by a crocodile here. 2, in fact. 2 in successive days. And then not again. A chap giving us a little demonstration of how big his mouth is. Is he wanting to seem intimidating, despite his young age? Otherwise, that's about it for this part of the world. I think we'll carry on now and see what else there is. As the heat starts to bear down on us, we actually literally can't bear to be standing any longer.
Alrighty guys, so they're taking quite a bit of time to go out this morning, start foraging. You can see the little ones, the juveniles, they are getting a little impatient. They have started playing or chasing around. I saw there's a ground squirrel that also shares these burrows, so they've started chasing him in and out of the burrows, but he's not having it too much, so ducking into the burrow most of the time. It does look like they think the coast is clear now. Most of them have now moved over to the eastern side of the burrow and are busy looking to maybe start getting active, but just with them being in this new burrow system, it's right almost on the edge of their territory, in the western side of their territory, so new ground being opened up for them. And with that being the case, good food as well. So, they might have had a very productive foraging day yesterday, so they can afford to, spend a little bit more time during the morning just, taking care of themselves, making sure that the adults are So we just had a question from Pinakin. What do meerkats eat? And so typically they feed on insects. So we see them going for scorpions quite often. They love the beetles. Also the things like termites, and then they'll go also for small reptiles, little geckos, little legless skinks. A legless skink, guys, is a lizard that's lost the ability to use their legs. So it's only two little knobbies. It looks like a mole snake almost. So they feed mostly on those things. We see them now before there's clouds rolling in quite often, feeding on a woolly, it's a beetle called the woolly chafer. It's quite a big beetle, almost as big as my front segment of my thumb, so quite large. Light brown in color with these wool-like thingies coming out of the neck. I, cringe every time they eat one of those, because I cannot think that it tastes nice, but they apparently love it. But yeah, so mostly insects. Here and there they'll go for a lizard or a gecko or something like that. Maybe a little snake if they can find it, a non-venomous snake or so. But we see them feeding on beetles, termites, those types of things quite often. And then if they are lucky to get the odd scorpion, they'll go for that. They'll also go for something that we call a solifuge or a sun spider, so it looks like a spider. Got 8 leg-like appendages, but they are not part of the spider family. So they have no venom glands or no silk glands, and actually got 4 mouthpieces. They run quite quickly, and they freak people out very easily. Quite a hairy little guy, but the meerkats love feeding on them as well. So if they do get lucky, they're quite juicy. And then later on during the season, they'll also feed on the armored ground crickets. Not that they enjoy it very much, but it is a big meal, so they will go for it. And try and gulp down as much as they can, and as long as they can tolerate it. But for the meantime, not feeding, busy grooming each other over here where I'm standing, and always sentry duty and a little bit of burrow maintenance to a certain extent. So yeah, I'm very sure they had a very, very good day yesterday. Probably a lot of scorpions being out at the moment after all of the rain and so on. Dave, what was that? Okay, so we just had a question from Stuck in Bed. Do animals get hiccups? Now, I can personally attest that my dog gets quite a few hiccups. I've seen the meerkats also getting hiccups, so yes, they do. It's not nearly as bad as what we would have it, having that long, prolonged cycles of just shaking as far as hiccup goes, but you do see them have the odd shake in the body, and it will continue for maybe a minute or two. Just as soon as they control their breathing again and get that back to normal, they'll normalize, and it will go away. But my Jack Russell back home hicks up all the time, especially when he wants me to give him a treat. I think he's learned that is a very easy way for him to wrap me around his pinky. But yes, they do get hiccups regardless of the animal. I haven't really seen it with big stuff like elephant and, lions and those types of things. But then again, then I wouldn't know what a hiccup looks like when an elephant does it. But yes, no, they do get hiccups, but not as often as we do. That for them being so fit and so healthy and so on, their breathing is typically a much more natural process that happens than ours. We tend to do funny things to our diaphragm and change our breathing to an irregular state, and that is going to cause the hiccups to occur more frequently. But yes, animals do get hiccups. I've seen it with the meerkats, I've seen it with my dog. I have not seen it with the larger animals, but I'm pretty sure they do so as well. If it's a natural thing to get your breathing back on track, then it must be present in all breathing animals. But yeah, guys, they look like they are about to start foraging. I see there's still a little bit of digging in the burrows happening. So, here and there just applying the finishing touches. But I think in the next 2 or 3 minutes, or maybe even 5, they're going to start venturing out. I can see the little ones already aiming to go a little further away from the burrow, and they've been digging around the burrow system like crazy and so on. So hopefully soon they'll start feeding and filling those bellies, especially the alpha female. We want mom to have a full belly to be able to have those babies grow as quick as they can so we can have new puppies in the Rockstar family. But yeah, as I said, taking quite a bit of time this morning to get to that point, which is great because then we get to spend more time with them. As soon as they start foraging, it's sometimes difficult to keep up with where they're going. We just had a question from Anna Marie. Do meerkats groups ever have fights with other meerkat groups? And Anna Marie, yes, absolutely. Because they are territorial animals, you do have them sometimes clashing with a neighboring mob of meerkats. So if they are foraging close to their territory, or if their territory's resources is depleted, let's say there's no more insects around, well, not enough, they might get forced to go out of their territory into another clan or mob's territory to be able to obtain valuable, resources. And obviously those guys that are present at that time, the current occupants, are not going to be happy. So the fights are quite hectic, especially when they single one individual in a group out and they've got the whole mob against that particular individual. They can injure them pretty badly, typically going for the root of the tail here at the back, just where the tail starts. But if they're enough individuals and they overpower the meerkat, they'll, if they can, and if the situation calls for it, kill it. So they do, just purely because they're territorial, for competition for food, and then also, Densites burrow systems. They'll do that as well. But it doesn't happen as often, because they've got, relative to their body size, they have such large territories, because they are such small animals. They don't clash with other meerkats as often as you'd think, not as nearly as often as lions would clash with one another. So yeah, guys, I think what we are going to do is we'll keep with them until they start foraging, but for the meantime, we're going to send you somewhere else and see what these meerkats are up to for now.
You're back with Craig and I here at andBeyond Phinda, and we've come towards where we last had some tracks of that pride of lions. Unfortunately, no further sign of them, but just some beautiful color caught my attention, and I just want to show you this lovely flower that's growing here. Look at that beautiful, I don't know if you can see the little weevil also that's scurrying around. Look at that, it's a little weevil. Little black weevil with yellow spots. I don't know if you can see that scurrying around on the branch below where my hand is. I think it's just now gone down the back of the tree there. But look at this beautiful flower with the pink and the yellow. And some of you may be quite familiar with this. It's a flower from a sickle bush. And because of the way that this flower looks, the plant is also often referred to as a Chinese lantern. And it's a tree that, well, a bush or shrub, I suppose sometimes it grows into a tree. It does get quite tall if it's given enough time. That grows quite prolifically around kind of the eastern parts of South Africa, and even further north up into Africa, and apparently even into Asia. So it's a very widespread plant, a plant that grows very well in disturbed soil, and grows very easily in disturbed soils, almost like a pioneer species. And because of how readily it grows, it can grow out of control and become a bit of a bush encroacher. So this is a plant species that, even though it's indigenous, it can be dangerous to the environment, just because of its tendency to overtake the growth all over the place.
Well, I found 2 hippos in this open pod here. It's a small spot where it holds water for quite a long time, sustains elephants and other creatures, but hippos also find it as a safe haven for them. These are 2 bulls, but one seems to be very shy and he's headed away. The other one just decided to stay. He's quite a biggie, this one. He looks very okay with us. We're quite a distance. If you look just behind the nose there, you see there's 2 protrusions. Those knobs there, those are canines. They're under. I would say they eventually become part of the mouth, and so they're not painful. It looks like it could be pressing the skin, but I think they get used to it and it becomes part of them, and so it's not painful. He's looking downwards towards the other guy who's making his way out of this channel. He's over there. He's very shy. He didn't want our presence. It looks like he's going to relax there, or is he going to turn back? Are you going to come back? Are you going to get out? I would say these 2 are boys, and there could be a battle brewing, because the body language is not of the calm hippo. Usually you only find 1 male in a spot like this and the rest are females, but looks like it's a male that's trying to establish a spot where it will attract females once it feels it's safe. A very dangerous animal, full of anger, and naturally will attack you without any reasons, and especially if you're blocking its way towards the river, water, or any water body that it's supposed to be in. He is a big boy. Look at him. Yeah, I was talking about those 2 knobbly things on either side. Those are carnaceous teeth for fighting. Very, very big. They can be up to a foot, and they are the ones that actually causes a lot of death in many animals, including humans. He looks a little bit sleepy. Spend at about 12 to 13 hours in water and sleeping only. Yeah, looks like he's got some scars on the back, as you can see. Definitely from battle, from fighting. sometimes they get really infected. Look at that. Look at the back, way back there. They're really bad. Sometimes they get infected because if they stay in deep water or out in the open, oxpeckers will make them worse. In the water, fishes will feed on them. So sometimes you find them isolating themselves, finding a spot like where they are, where they heal slowly. So definitely he's a male from the few characteristics that I can tell. Yeah, he's a guy, I think, who's trying to establish a territory. Well, I think he's given me enough time, so I'm gonna leave him in peace and I'm gonna head out forwards, see what else I can find.
Now, I don't know if you've ever been mooned by an owl before, but you have now. There is the little owl chick, and when we got here, he was sitting up and looking at us. So he and his mum is not here, so I'm sure she's guarding somewhere close by, and probably his father as well. Anyway, he's around about 10 days old, therefore, and eyes are open. And he's not, I wouldn't describe him as mobile yet, but he's certainly able to sit up. And he was looking around, just like when we first saw Wahlberg last year. And hopefully, this, I suppose now must be his most vulnerable time. And you can see, if you look very carefully, you can see bits of grey feathering coming out of the down, and that indicates sort of an age of around about 14 days. There are the little wings. You can see just an eye open there. But he's so hot now. His little gape is wide open, going. Very cool to see. He is definitely mooning us, however. You can see his little cloaca. Of course, I'm saying his. I don't know that this is a he or a she, as I didn't with Wahlberg, and nor did anyone else. They look exactly the same, the male and the female. And I suppose this, what you can see there, that little pink, sphincter, for want of a better term, is the cloaca, and absolutely everything that comes out of the bird comes out there. And so there's no separation of the organs externally. For male and female, they'll mate through that, and all of their waste comes out of it as well. There you can hear the mum. She's just above us to the left. There, I can actually see her. She's been sat there the whole time, and Niels and I didn't see her. Niels is just going to swing very slowly to the left. There she is. Hi. She's standing on one leg there. See that? She's got one leg dangling down. Now, the bird that, Niels, the chick's up. Let's get back to the chick. It's got its back turned, but it's up. There, we can see it. Look. You heard some elephants there. It's much bigger than I thought it was. Oh, hello. Oh, it's too cute. Oh, it's just precious. Isn't that wonderful? I think it's trying trying to spread out as much as it can so that it can get as much exposure of its surface to the cooling soil. Here comes, I think the mum's going to fly. Here comes the mum. She looks like she's going to fly. Oh, no, she's just gone up a branch. I thought she might come down to the nest. DJ, this is where they nest. They nest in little ground hollows or overhangs, or sometimes hollows in trees if they can find them. But this is basically where you'd expect to find a spotted eagle owl chick. Mum is now looking again. While we look at Mum, I was pondering the other day why it is that birds stand on one leg, other than for warmth, and it was on a hot day. And so it wasn't for warmth. And James Richard sent me some lovely information about why it is or how it is that birds are able to stand on one leg and rest like that. And the answer basically was because they can, and they can because they've got a spur somewhere in the hip joint that allows them basically to lean the leg against it so that there's no muscle use. It's actually very restful for a bird to stand on one leg, unlike for us. This is too cute. I would describe Mum as magnificent rather than cute, but her baby is very special. I'm going to say I think this thing's 2 weeks old. Its main feathers are definitely coming through the down. But it is now helpless. Its only help will come from its mother flying down to defend it, and they will do that. So if I was to walk up towards that bird, I think that I'd find myself in the rather precarious position of having a spotted eagle owl or two clawing at my face. And that, I think, would be pretty terrifying. Cute, huh? Oh, there we go. Just looking around at the new world. We've got some lovely pictures of Sebwig last year, almost looking like he's singing an aria as he gula flutters in order to cool down. But it is hot. Baking. They're supposed to be able to give birth, birds don't really give birth, do they? But brood chicks at any time of the year. But this is exactly what they did last year, this pair. Look at him having a little explore of his nest. See, he's not too steady on his feet yet. One really does wonder why it is that evolution has given this bird the appearance of a candy floss ball as opposed to something like a lapwing chick, which is, completely hidden. Yeah, it's taken on the singing stance now. Very, very special indeed.
How special that is to get to see such a little owl chick. Craig and I moved out of the area of that other pride of lions that we'd been searching for the whole morning, but luckily on the way home we happened upon a different lion, or a lion from a different pride. And it looks like it's just a lone lioness. And see how she's lying up on that little embankment in the shade with her paws up in the air, her legs splayed. And the wind is blowing from kind of her belly side towards us, so she's got her belly exposed to the breeze, trying to keep as cool as possible, looking at how heavily she's breathing, and also looking at her paw. I don't know if you can see her paw that's up against the tree there. If you look very closely, there's a tinge of red to the fur around her paw. It looks like she's managed to kill something and eaten recently. There's a bit of blood on the fur of her paw there. And so her tummy will be super full from eating whatever she killed. But also looking at this lioness, looking at her face and her features on her body, it looks like a lioness that we think is in the later stages of pregnancy. And that would be why she's alone. Because looking around, we don't see any other lions nearby. And typical of lioness behavior, when they're going to go and have cubs, they'll isolate themselves from their pride, and they'll go and find a secluded spot, a safe spot, a sheltered spot to go and give birth to their cubs. Now we're right at the base of a big rocky mountain, and it's a spot that lionesses from this pride that she's from have often used when they go off to give birth to their little ones. So good chance that pretty soon she's gonna give birth in one of these ravines at the base of this mountain, or up in one of the caves at the mountain. What's going on there? Her body is like shuddering. Oh, shame. She's just breathing so heavily. Shame. Her tummy's full of food. And then, of course, she's got more than likely a couple of little ones developing in her body as well. So we're just adding to that build-up of heat. But like I said, she's got quite a nice little vantage point there. It's nice and cool in the shade, nice and cool. She's got the breeze blowing on her. But amazing how she just disappears there. If we'd driven past and hadn't been looking carefully, we would have easily missed her. And in fact, it was that, see, every now and then her ear flicks. Just see that little black spot on the back of her ear flicking. It was that little bit of movement that got my attention. And then when I don't know if you can see her paws, her back legs, and how light they are, how they really stick out against the bush. The green of the grass and the brown of the trees. It was that then, even without binoculars, could see, okay, there's a lioness there. And very often, it's just those little movements that we look for. I see the sunlight coming through there. It's really starting to get hot here. And often when looking for lions in the heat of the day, it's those little movements like a flicking ear or a tail that's flicking up and down, that black pom-pom on the tip of the tail that is so noticeable when the lion flicks its tail as the lion tries to wave flies away from its rear end. It's those little movements that we look for. And then also, of course, that very bright white on the underside of the belly that contrasts so starkly against the surroundings. Very important things to look out for when looking for lions. But glad that after a full morning of searching, Craig and I eventually managed to show you a lion. I think, though, with the heat, she's not going to move too far from here. And so Craig and I are going to leave her and we're going to make our way back to the lodge.
I'm glad it's heating up nicely at Phinda. It's not heating up nicely here. It's heating up to temperature of lava, and we're sitting in the sun, full sun. But it's worth it, because we've got to spend time with this little owl chick. Hopefully it will be as successful as its predecessor, its sibling, who now applies its trade somewhere else. You can hear a squirrel alarm calling. I think it's probably just seen the mum though. I don't think there's anything else going on. Although there are a few of them going now. Either that or the Wahlberg's eagle that lives around here is on its way home. It's flying above us somewhere. Maybe there's a leopard walking past, who knows? Turned his back on us, but at least we're not receiving the moon that we were earlier on. Gosh. Niels, how's your back? Is it also covered in sweat? Niels has made a very stern stuff, being from the ganglands of Pretoria, so he just kind of shrugs his shoulders. Head is up again. So cute. Mum keeps looking like she's going to fly down there, and then she closes her eyes and goes to sleep, so I don't think she will. I think she'll probably remain where she is and just observe and make sure that the little owl is safe. If you would like to see how hot it is, you can look at my back. These are the sacrifices we make for your benefit. I hope you appreciate them. Nothing like a bit of sweat on a Saturday morning. Oh, poor little thing. Now, of course, that little owl can't sweat at all, and so it must pant. But it's got a very effective insulation system with its feathers and a heat removal system with its gular flutter. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your questions and comments. We'll see you this afternoon in the Cookathon at 3 o'clock.